Hey, David Brewster with No 3 for All, and this is three Jakey Lee licks from 1984. And of course, Jakey Lee became popular working with Ozzy Osbourne, and he appears on the albums Bark at the Moon and The Ultimate Sin. And after working with Ozzy, he formed the group Badlands, which was a phenomenal band. The self-titled debut, and Voodoo Highway, and a few other albums. He's currently working with the Red Dragon Cartel, but he also historically, he was a very early member of the group Rad, also the group Rough Cut, back in the 80s. And one of his earliest bands was named Teaser, which was named after a very popular Tommy Bolin album, and that's also one of Jakey Lee's influences, or big influence. Tommy Bolin. So Jake's a very interesting musician and guitarist, and honestly, after working with Ozzy and Badlands, he released some solo albums, and then he kind of became a little bit reclusive. He kind of backed away from the spotlight and the limelight, which that happens. I think there's a lot of weird things that go on behind the scenes. Contracts and lawyers and all this crazy business stuff. So I imagine part of the reason was just the business didn't really leave a very good taste in his mouth. So he probably backed off, and now he's really started to kind of come out of his shell in a way, and he's kind of appearing more on the internet, interviews and live clips. He's definitely touring with Red Dragon Cartel. So he's a very interesting guitarist, and even though he kind of disappeared for a little while and then kind of made, is making a comeback now, he's still respected. People still talk about him, like Bark at the Moon and Ultimate Sin happened yesterday, even though that was a very long time ago. But people still talk about Jakey Lee, and they bring up, songs and riffs and solos and techniques and all this stuff that he's known for. Well, this lesson's going to take a look at three licks from his 1984 era Bark at the Moon solo. And there's a little bit of speculation between, is this from 83 or is it from 84? And I believe Ozzy kind of remained on the road. So there might be video clips of him playing this from 83, and then you might see some from 84. And the clips that I kind of chopped up here for this lesson, this is actually from a bootleg. So the quality's a little grainy and it's a little hard to see and hear, almost like the Warren DeMartini lesson I did, recently. But there is a better quality professional version, and I chose not to use that one and cut that one up, mainly because the last thing I need is a lawsuit or some infringement case, with the Prince of Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne. I saw the Osbournes, and he was throwing watermelons at his neighbor, so I don't even want to know what he would throw at me, if I started using something that was legally protected. So I went the safe, pirate route and chose to chop up part of a bootleg. So the quality is going to be a little grainy, and you can find, the version that I found on YouTube. But I would highly recommend, after watching this video, locate the actual Bark at the Moon, home video version, which you can find, clips of that on YouTube, and you can actually see and hear a little better version of what we're going to break down in this lesson. All right, well, the first lick is kind of arpeggio based, and it's using this kind of three-note, fingering or pattern that's very common in Jakey Lee style. And then, of course, you can also see this, of course, in Randy Rhoads and Michael Schenker, and there's a whole bunch of guitarists that have kind of been caught doing this arpeggio. So it starts off with A minor, and we're going to just basically kind of walk through this E, C, and A like this. Descend through that A minor arpeggio, grab the E again on the 12th fret, and then we're going to basically move down to a G major arpeggio. And then part of that is going to relocate to, you're going to keep the 10, but you want to relocate to an A there on the 5th fret on the low E, or the high E, and also an F sharp there on the 7th fret on the B. So that's D major. So far we had A minor, G major, D major, and then he just does this little 4-note tag of A minor. So here's the clip of him playing this from that bootleg. So you put those arpeggios together and it turns into a really cool lick. And it's tricky because you have to kind of lead with your pinky, which I know that's going to be hard for a lot of guitarists out there. I don't know if you can kind of see that. And as far as the fingering that I kind of use there, I am using kind of a stretchier shape, just so I don't have to shift, in and out of position so much. Really cool lick. All right, the next lick's from the same solo, and chronologically, it's kind of the next lick that you'll hear. It may not be right after the lick that we just looked at, but if you kind of watch the solo, you'll hear this one kind of pop up next. And it's a speed lick. So in rock and shred and metal circles, speed licks are basically patterns that are repetitive, and you play them as fast as humanly possible. So here's a clip from the solo, so you can hear what we're going to tackle here. So as you can hear and see, it's a very fast, phrase, and you're using kind of a mix and match of legato and alternate picking too. So it starts off with this A minor 9, and then it shifts to a C major 9, and then it changes to a D9. So, it's a very challenging lick, and you can actually use all of your frethand fingers too. Then he ends it with this crazy lick, which I couldn't quite make it out. It sounds similar to the last lick you'll hear in the Bark of the Moon solo, but he's just doing this frantic, or something like that. I'm not really sure what he did there. Something like that. All right, well, the whole secret of the trick behind those kind of licks, I call those pivot licks, because there's one note that's kind of a pivot note. You're going to descend, hit that note, and then turn it around and ascend. So you're pivoting off of basically the C is what you're using as the pivot note. So slowly you're doing something like that. And then my little made-up lick there, or something. Now you can hear a lot of guitarists, do licks and phrases like this. Immediately I think of, Jake E. Lee, of course Randy Rhoads, but I think of, Steve Vai. There's a whole bunch of players out there that do these really rapid, kind of half and half, half picked, half legato pivot licks. Really cool stuff. All right, the last lick is the very next lick that he plays. It's right after those speed licks that we just looked at. And this is kind of a flat 5 thing. So think of, like the A blues scale. And he's doing this really cool kind of sinister gothic sounding melody. And then he just starts doing another crazy speed lick. So the first part, he's actually targeting E flat, the flat 5 if we're thinking the key of A or A minor. So he actually starts on the E flat, and then he does this little melody. And that's kind of the melody there. He does a slight pinch on that E flat, which those are not slight pinches. I just did full screams, but aggressively hit that E flat. And then you'll hear the speed lick where he's basically going from C to D, and then E flat to F sharp, or G flat. And that's the pattern. But he plays it really fast. And it's a really, really cool lick. And then he continues on with the solo. All right, well, that's going to wrap up these three licks from J.Q. Lee, and leave some feedback and comments, and let me know what you think about these recent videos I've created. I mean, there are so many great unaccompanied, live guitar solos. And actually, Jake's solo here that we looked at in this lesson, he actually had the band behind him. He had drums and bass, kind of, playing kind of a groove or a vamp behind him as he played a solo. So it's not always unaccompanied. This one was kind of an exception. But let me know what you think, and I can definitely make some more of these if you like this kind of new endeavor or direction that I'm moving in. So, keep me posted. Please subscribe to Late Night Lessons, and I'll be back before you know it with some more lessons, content, chord play, three for all, and blah, blah, blah very soon. Thank you.